Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, step right up and enter our world. A warning to all, a word of beware. This isn't your normal paranormal affair. The strong man's inside. The wolf boy is too. There's a frozen Neanderthal and a bearded lady to boot. The admission is free, no fee to come near. Your stories you'll hear, born of horror and fear. A Bigfoot sighting is certain, a ghost story or two, an alien abduction, or a conspiracy brood. We're the collectors of stories, testimonies of the weird. Yes, soon you'll learn much of the world the normal ones fear. Welcome to the Paranormal Sideshow with your host, John and Stacey Edwards of ParanormalSideshow.com. Hello and welcome to the Paranormal Sideshow. I'm your host, John Edwards, and joined as always by my lovely wife, Stacey.
Hello.
And we have a amazing show for you guys today. It's going to be all about, so kind of keeping the theme from last episode with October and Halloween and such things as that, because we just can't get enough.
We love October. It's our favorite month.
There's a whole lot of me that wanted to just name it Halloween Part 2, but I refrained from doing that.
That makes it sound like a bad sequel.
Yeah, and then Halloween 2 was a good sequel.
Oh, I don't know about that. I was just saying, just because Part 2.
Halloween 2 was a great sequel. It was a really bad Misfits song. But it was Halloween Part 2, I think, wasn't even actually the Misfits. I think it was somehow Danzig snuck that in.
Oh, I didn't even know that existed.
Yeah. It's basically the chorus of Halloween with some incantations, real ones.
Of course.
That like to invoke a demon.
Oh, yeah.
And yes. Good stuff. Good quality. Good quality Glenn Danzig fun.
Of course. Good family fun.
Oh, absolutely. ParanormalSideshow.com. That's your address to go find all the incantations that you want to find, and any kind of spells and witchcraft like that.
There's no spells and witchcraft, but there are a lot of links to everything else you need.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was trying to say.
Exactly.
And videos. There's, links, like she said, and there's gifts, and there's fun and clowns and Wolverines. Anything you want to find, you'll probably not find on ParanormalSideshow.com, but what you will find is some of the most amazing paranormal news in the world.
Okay, we'll go with that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because you work really hard on it.
I do.
And guys, girls, ladies, men, what you also can find there is you can find places to listen to us. You can find ways to watch us. You can find old things from us, new things from us, things to come, things that have yet to come. And it's all on the Sideshow, ParanormalSideshow.com. On Facebook, it's Facebook.com/ParanormalSideshow. On the Twitter, it is @Sideshow97. And because we're cool like that. And on Instagram, hot damn, it's John and Stacey Edwards. And also on YouTube, if you want to just search Paranormal Sideshow, it's got some of our old documentaries up there. And it's also got some really cool things like this episode. Yes. So if that's your thing and you want to lay in bed and watch YouTube.
It's nothing really to watch, just the audio. But I do put it up there because some people, they just like to use YouTube.
They just use YouTube.
They do.
So I'm going to hit you with a little story. So we were getting ready to record, and obviously the place we're in was built in 1847, and we've not had a whole lot of craziness here, but the equipment was a little bit odd today. And on the last episode, and those of you who follow us on Facebook would know this, but on the last episode, when listening back, we heard some very distinct EVP.
We did a few times.
Very odd. And there's actually a couple different voices. So if you've not listened to it, I would suggest you go back and listen to it. And God only knows what's going to be on this one. Keeping in the theme of last week, it seemed like it was commenting on what we were talking about.
It did. I couldn't really tell what some of them were saying, and we didn't like.
If we can get them talking good enough, we'll just set up another mic for them.
Just put it over there on the other side at the table.
Just be like, "Hello, Casper."
Yeah, I don't think anybody's going to answer to that.
Unless his name was actually Casper.
That's true. That's true.
Wouldn't that be odd?
But like you said, we do live in a very old house. And all the houses around us are all old. It's the historical district, and we're down the street from about 3 humongous old cemeteries.
Yes.
So
when she says down the street, it's literally
like 2 blocks.
Yeah, it's right here. I mean, we're in a very old part of the country, very old part of the town, in a very old house. Mm-hmm. So it's a cool house though.
Yeah, it is. I agree.
It's a very cool house in a very cool place in a very cool state. So there you go. That's all the coolness. And hey guys, speaking of cool, I want to talk about something. So I alluded to the fact of something last time, and a really cool opportunity for me and for the show. Well, for me and then the show, but I still can't tell you. But no, it's coming. I'll be doing some traveling in November, and then there's going to be, I can't wait to talk about it. It's going to be fun and a good opportunity, for me. And I'm getting to I can tell you this much. I'm going to have the opportunity to tell a story that I have wanted to tell for a very long time.
You have.
If you're a listener of the show, you're going to know when I reference Chasing, the movie Chasing Amy. I was always chasing this one investigation. And, because I've actually said that on many investigations.
Yes.
So I don't know if I've said that on the show, but I know I've said it to other investigators. Out of all the places that I've investigated,
right,
I get to tell the story from the place that scared me the most.
Right.
So it's a very cool thing.
It is.
And that's all I can talk about it.
Yes. No more.
I can't say anything else.
No more.
You're giving me the ixnay look.
Yes. Ixnay.
Ixnay. All right. ParanormalSideshow.com, guys. Once again, that's it. But the biggest thing for us, if you want to help, obviously we'll never ask for anything monetary or anything along those lines. We try to keep it ad-free, commercial-free. But one thing that would really help us on iTunes, if you could go there, if you listen to it on iTunes, subscribe on iTunes, even if you have an iTunes account and you listen to it from your grandma's house, still go on your iTunes account, listen to we're subscribed to the show on iTunes, leave a review, 5 stars.
All 5.
Yeah, all 5. And that way the government doesn't look at you. I've heard that the government quits listening to your phone calls if you give 5 stars to us.
Really? You heard that, huh?
So,
we'll just spread that around.
Yeah, it's a really cool thing. So we really appreciate every one of you who listens. It's been picking up big time on the downloads on through every forum that we use.
Yes, and thank you to those who've already left reviews. We've already got quite a few on there, so that's really helpful.
Yeah, thank you so much. As always, we hope to bring a little smile to you, and at the same time give you a little bit of information. That's what it's all about, is learning and laughing.
Yes.
And discussing and sharing theories and sharing thoughts. With that said, I'm going to share my wife.
Wait a minute. Maybe you should say that a little differently.
It's time for paranormal news.
Okay, so let's get to the news.
Can I say something?
Sure.
You look really radiant today.
Oh, thank you.
You really do. I noticed it earlier.
I appreciate that. It's because I just had a birthday.
Is that
Still
why?
got that birthday glow.
You got the birthday glow. I was going to say you have a glow.
Yes.
Uh-oh.
No, it's not that kind of glow.
All right.
No worries there.
Continue on.
All right. Well, let's get into our news stories. I got a few here that I pulled off of the website. This first one is a story that's been going around about the conspiracy theorist, the UFO researcher that mysteriously died in Poland.
This one's getting around really quick.
Yeah. Well, the funny thing about it is this actually happened a couple of months ago, June or July. I think it was the end of June, maybe early July. I'm not sure. I don't think it got a lot of attention then, but it's really like just spreading like wildfire now. So it's about a man named Max Spears. And like I said, he is a conspiracy theorist, a UFO researcher, and he was invited to speak at a conference in Poland. And this is in July, so I assume it was in July. And just hours before he was supposed to give the talk, which was on conspiracy theories and UFOs and things like that, he was found dead on his sofa in his apartment. And he was seemingly, a pretty healthy guy, didn't have any major problems or anything like that. Now, the authorities in Poland ruled the death that he died from natural causes. So,
of course they did.
They didn't do any kind of autopsy or examination or anything.
Right.
They just looked at it and said he died of natural causes. So, of course, his mother is just
a mother.
Yeah, she just wants to know what happened. There was a report that some friends claimed that when he died, it was a Warsaw apartment, that he died after he vomited a black liquid.
Okay.
Which doesn't sound natural.
No, I mean, that doesn't sound natural at all.
Rate to me. And so about a week after he died, his mother had his body sent back to Canterbury, which is where he's from. And she had a pathologist do a post-mortem examination on him because they didn't do one in Poland. They just said it was natural causes. But she actually hasn't even gotten the results from that yet, and it's been months now.
So what's making the story make its rounds now?
What I think it is I think that
AP or something?
She has recently done a couple of interviews, and I did the news story on the website, and I put links to a couple of the interviews that she's been doing. I'm not exactly sure why this particular time, if maybe she's just still trying to figure out. Obviously, she's still trying to figure out what's going on. But I don't know if it's just been so long now and she doesn't want people to let it get away.
Right.
I read something somewhere that said that the authorities in Poland want to close the case. And she's trying to force them to not let that happen because obviously...
So he sent her a text message before he died.
He did, yes. And that's one of the really mysterious things about it is he sent her a text message. It was a couple of days before he died, but it actually told her that if something bad happened to him, to investigate.
Right.
That he said that he was in trouble, and if something bad happened to him,
and you don't send those normally. Like I don't remember the last time I sent somebody something. Well, I have, but because we're in that line. But I don't remember the last time I sent somebody something saying, "Hey, if I'm not here, please investigate."
Right. Because he obviously thought something was going on.
And before we jump to any crazy conclusions,
right?
There can always be. Now it sounds like foul play to me. Just straight up.
It does.
But it doesn't necessarily have to be because it's the conspiracies. It could mean because he was into something that he shouldn't have been into.
Exactly.
But as the great Nick Redfern has written before about how dangerous ufology can be.
Yes.
To dedicate a whole book to the fact of conspiracy theorists and ufologists have an odd trend of turning up dead.
Yes.
And mysteriously.
Because of something that they're asking questions about
or because they hit something
that they shouldn't have hit.
It makes me want to go through his work.
Well, there's actually a YouTube channel that has a lot of stuff, and there's a couple articles out there that kind of list out things that he has said or things he's believed in or things he was trying to push, as far as conspiracy theories. I didn't have a chance to look through all of it. But I know that these interviews that his mother has done, one of them's like 2 hours long, and she really goes in depth about who he was and what kind of person he was and, what happened in the days leading up and all that stuff. And I think she's just trying to dispel any rumors or, anything like that.
Because another thing, if he was killed by a government or a shadow government or something, they'll throw something out there about heroin, or they'll throw something out there.
They'll make him look like a drug addict. Now, I did read something on one article, and I don't remember which one it is, because honestly, I read a bunch of different things kind of all in a row. Someone had said that he had a place on his forehead, a red mark on his forehead, like he had been tased or something, electrical, and that they were trying to explain that was why he vomited the black liquid, and that it doesn't leave any kind of...
Wow.
But I don't know. Now, I don't know. That was just somebody's theory. That wasn't like a...
Yeah, no, I mean...
anything that was reported.
It's alarming, and it's real, and it really hits home because of, how many times have we turned on the iPhone and seen that, it had been tapped into from, 10 different government facilities.
Right.
And
your Facebook page. How many people have been visiting your Facebook page?
It's been like this for years.
Yeah, exactly.
For ever since that we've had the capabilities of being able to see who was watching. No joke, guys and girls. My phone specifically has had tons of traffic of where it shows where you've logged in from. And you know, there's security measures for that not to happen, but I never get the alerts. And
Right.
I'm signed up for the alerts if I'm trying to sign in from somewhere else.
Right.
And the weird thing about it is I can sign up in my laptop and it'll send me an alert.
Right.
Okay. But I have all these other places that show up.
Yeah. And you know, there are places where there's
where I've never been.
Yeah.
Places I've never been. And when I look them up, there's always some kind of NSA. There's always some kind
of government thing. Yeah.
And you would think they'd be smart enough so I think I've got like the lowbrow, like, you know, like I'm not important enough to put the top guy on it.
Right.
They've got Fred on me, you know. It's like, hey, Fred, we want you to keep tabs on this John Edwards guy.
You don't text anything like,
oh yeah,
do you?
Oh,
You like text things with
purpose.
all those weird keywords in them that they look for?
On purpose. I used to, me and Justin used to have a game where we would text every word that they have on there to have you pick up.
That's a good idea. Oh, we should get a list of all those words that they're looking for and just, back and forth.
We had the list and we would text each other sentences trying to find ways to fit every one of those words in.
That's funny.
And he was way worse than me because he would put some stuff on there you don't want to put on there.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, I'm
But,
sure. And you're kind of like,
yeah.
why'd you send me that?
Yeah, no, it's all fun and games because I'm not actually doing anything illegal.
Until you end up dead on a sofa in Poland.
Right. Well, at least I got to see Poland. So
I saw the inside of an apartment anyway.
it's silver linings, baby.
I guess
silver
so.
linings. But this is really sad.
It is sad.
It's not so weird that it took a long time to get to us. Because, you know, all of these other accounts of this happening to conspiracy theorists or ufologists out in the community, you never hear about it.
Right.
Ever.
Right.
So, you know,
Right.
it's for them, it's just another death.
Well, the only other thing that I thought was weird is that, you know, she did have that pathologist do the postmortem exam in Kent, and it's been like 2 months and she hasn't heard any results. And so I would think that if he died of natural causes, that wouldn't take. I don't know how long those things take, but I'm assuming it's not 2 months. And I guess the coroner's office was quoted as saying that they were still in the very early stages of the investigation for him. So that makes me think that there's something going on.
Unless they did it in the village, like from Plague of the Zombies, you know.
Or maybe they don't really have the money to get to it, so they just keep them to the side. And when they have some spare time,
You're not going to cut open our dead.
That's a good movie. I like that movie.
It's a great movie. If you've not watched it and you're looking for a movie to watch during this Halloween-y season, watch Hammer Horror's Plague of the Zombies.
We always pull out our Hammer Horror collection in October and start watching all the movies. We love those.
I would watch them all the time, but the girls won't let me, so I have to wait till October. But yeah, it's interesting.
Okay, so let's move on to the next story. This is kind of a ghost story.
Kinda.
Okay. So it might be a ghost, it might not. I don't know. You decide. Okay, so this is from the Philadelphia Academy of Fine Art. There is an exhibit there. There's an artist named Fernando Orellana, and he has a project.
Is his name Fernando Orellana? Do you get to pick?
Fernando, what?
You said Fernando Orellana.
No, his last name's Orellana.
Oh.
Starts with an O. I get it now.
Because I want to call him Lana.
You can call him Lana. I'm sure he won't mind. Anyway, his project is titled His Study of Life. And the whole purpose of the exhibit is to make contact with the spirit of a famous Philadelphia artist named Thomas Eakins. And so he set this up back in August. He set up the whole exhibit back in August at the Academy of Fine Art. And he's got some machines that he built that are based on EMF technology. And he's got a lot of articles that belong to Thomas Eakins, like paintbrushes and pictures, like a palette that he used and a watercolor set. And he has these machines he's built that set up so that the spirit can come and draw or make pictures.
Right.
So he's had this set up since August. So this past weekend, the thing that he has set up, the machine that he has set up, actually produced 2 different works of art.
Really?
Yes. And it's been set up for 2 months. It's not done anything. And so the first one was done on October 14th and the second one was done on October 15th. And they're both works that are sort of Thomas Eakins-esque.
Supermoon.
That's right. It was a full moon. I didn't even put that together. So what he is going to do now, because he's not exactly, he's set up this exhibit, but he's not like all ghost believer. He's a skeptic. But this has actually happened now, and there's pictures of them that I've put them on the website.
Do you think anyone who's ever done an experiment has went into it saying, you know what, I totally believe in ghosts, and I'm going to do this experiment to kind of prove that you know?
I'm sure people have gone in like that.
No, they haven't.
Well, anyway, so he's got these 2 pictures now. So the only thing he has to do now is he's going to examine his machinery to rule out the, you know, defective parts, or he doesn't know. He's not coming out saying this ghost came in and made these pictures, but
to rule out the defective parts that make pictures.
No, like make sure none of the sensors are
right.
defective or anything. Yes. And he's not saying that it's definitely a ghost that's done it, but he doesn't have an explanation for it right now. And it's not something that happens all the time. So it could be a spirit.
Yeah, it really could
it could have been.
I'm never going to do that with you.
What's that?
Like put something for you. It'll be like stick figures.
Yeah, no, I can't draw. I'd be like,
you draw a bunny or something and a heart. Be like, yep, that's her.
A little bear in the corner and a smiley face. Yeah, I'm not an artist.
The little big nose thing looking over the corner.
Yeah.
Yeah, you love that one.
Oh, well, it's easy to draw. I don't know. I'm all about easy.
So that's very interesting.
It is very interesting. And I thought it was kind of cool that he actually did come up. He did say that it could be, you know, someone trying to play a trick on him,
right.
or whatever. You know, he's very open-minded to it. But if he does investigate it and it turns out that it did just happen from EMF.
Proof of the afterlife.
It'd be pretty cool.
Yeah.
And I thought it was interesting that he used actual artifacts that belong to this artist.
Trigger objects.
Yes. So I think the exhibit's still there if you live in that area and you want to go see it. I mean, it's all whole setup. There's pictures online of it too, but I thought that was pretty cool.
It's a very cool story. And hopefully we'll hear some results soon.
Yeah. And when you look at the article, I've got links to the original articles from the Philly Voice, and there's an interview with him, and he goes through the whole explanation. If you're wondering how it works, he goes through a whole long explanation of how he built the machine and how he set it up and what his concept is for how it's supposed to work. There's like 2 different ways that a spirit can communicate with it. Right. And so it was pretty interesting. I thought it was pretty interesting reading. So.
Thank you.
Okay, so let's move on to this next story. Is just kind of funny. I thought it was pretty cool, something you can do. You can actually apply to be a citizen for the first nation state in space.
Oh.
It's called Asgardia.
Is it?
Yes.
Is it called Asgardia?
That's what they decided to call it.
Well, that's pretty cool.
So anyway, there is a project, and there's actually a project website you can go to for Asgardia, that they are trying to have people register to become citizens of this state in space. You don't actually go to space.
Right.
But they want to apply to be a state with the UN. And in order to do that, you have to have 100,000 citizens.
Is that all you have to do?
No, I'm sure that's not all you have to do.
Because that's kind of scary.
But that's one of the things that it said.
Okay.
That they say anybody that lives on Earth can become a citizen.
Right.
There's an application that you go to online. There's a link. I've got a link up and everything for it. And you just click on it, or I'll put a link up. I don't know if I actually already have that link up yet. It will be there. And you click on it and you fill out this registration form. And then they either accept you or they don't accept you. It didn't say if there was specific criteria.
The story gets very interesting when everybody signs up and then they mysteriously disappear.
Yeah, I know. I thought about that too.
Like the Roanoke colony.
Well, the thing is you don't actually go anywhere. You would still be a citizen of wherever you live, but then you could also say you're a citizen of Asgardia.
I know what they're saying.
Yeah, I know.
I'm just saying. That would be awesome.
Well, they are actually going to launch satellites. There is going to be something in space, but it's not going to be something you can live on now. I think that's something for very, very far in the future. But I think that they just want the whole thing set up, a whole nation, state, whatever, community where it's not everybody's together and united, and not fighting because they're different countries.
Boy, you know
whatever.
What? People need more time. I mean, or people have too much time.
I think so. But this is cool because I actually clicked on the link and you can actually go, and there actually is a registration form and you just fill it in and hit join. I don't know what happens after that because I didn't do it.
We should make our own.
Our own nation?
Yeah.
Can you do that?
Well, I want to do it.
You just want to make
the sovereign nation of John.
I would live in the sovereign nation of John.
Unfortunately.
I think I already do live in the sovereign nation of John.
Wow. Moving on.
Okay. All right. So let's talk about the Winchester Mystery House.
Let's.
I like the Winchester
I know
Mystery
you do.
House. I've never been there and I want to go.
I know you do.
It's so fascinating.
You've always loved
the whole
it.
story. So there's been an article going around that they have announced the discovery of a new room.
That's
in the
surprising.
House. Yeah. Surprise. But it was like an attic space that supposedly had been closed off since 1906 following an earthquake. And, the Mrs. Winchester, she, had notions that things were bad luck and stuff, and she just closed that area off after the earthquake. I don't know why.
Right.
I don't know what her reasoning was
Be
behind
crazy
that.
if we had another huge earthquake. After
But they found the room, and in the room there was like a sewing machine and a dress form and a bunch of other items from that era. And so, here's the really funny thing is they announced this new room and, that you could see it and stuff, but they don't take you to the new room. They've taken everything out of the room and they've set it up as an exhibit somewhere else on the property. So some people are saying, new discovery, maybe just a new, publicity thing, new exhibit, whatever, to get people to come back to the house.
I don't know. I don't think they need that.
But I don't think so either. But it did add a room to the total of rooms. So obviously they did find a hidden room.
Yeah, I mean, is it really that shocking? Really?
No,
I mean, it's the craziest house on the planet.
Especially if they found an area in the attic. I mean, how long would it take people to walk all the way up to that attic space? I've never been there, but I can imagine it's a very long trip.
Yeah.
So,
I mean,
I don't know.
It's cool. It's a cool story. People just have to hate. Hate has got to hate.
I know. Isn't it awful? But yes, that's definitely one of the places I absolutely want to visit at some point just to see it.
I'll take you there if you get me full access to the White House.
Wow. I can see how that's equal footing there. Yeah. Yeah.
That's my dream investigation.
I can take you to the White House. We can do the tour like everybody else, but I don't think I can get you full access.
The problem is I can't sneak any electronic devices in.
No. I think sneaking into the White House, they don't go together.
Yeah, no.
Let me tell you a funny story about when I went to Washington, D.C., because I grew up in Virginia Beach and we were very close to Washington, D.C., so we went all the time. And we went one time for a week. And it was great. I mean, it was really a lot of fun. We saw all the different sites, went to the Smithsonian, went up in the Washington Monument at night and got to see all the lights and stuff at night. I know. So we were going to tour the White House, and it just so happened the day that we went to tour, the president was there. So it was not a full tour like it should have been. And when you went in, boy, they take everything out of your pockets, metal detectors, all that, And so my mom had this keychain, and on her keychain, she had mace. She'd always carried it. It was just something she did because, protection or whatever. And they almost arrested her going in because she tried to take that. She wasn't even thinking about it because it was in a little pouch,
Right.
And she wasn't even thinking about it. And they're like, we can confiscate this or we can arrest you. And she was like, just take it. Just seriously, just take it. So I don't know. I thought that was pretty funny. I always remembered that. So my mom was trying to mace the president.
Reagan?
I honestly don't remember what year it was. I would think so. Yeah. I was not terribly young, but I was pretty small.
It's probably Reagan.
Okay, so last story. This is kind of a cool story. There's a contest online that you can enter. You have to hurry and enter, but you can enter. It started today, where 2 people are going to have the chance to win the opportunity to sleep in Dracula's castle all night.
Does that have a roof?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay,
yeah, I think so.
Sorry, I was thinking of another one.
So it's a contest by Airbnb, and this will be the first time since 1948 that anyone has spent the night there.
Wow.
But you can go. I do have the links for this on the website right now. You can go, you can find the link to enter, and you just have to, I think they ask you to use your vampiric wit and imagine what
your vampiric winch?
Yeah, we all have one of those.
Go enter it for me.
Your vampiric wit to imagine what you'd say to Count Dracula if you met him. I think it's like a question they ask you or something. And then the winners get flown to Romania, and you're taken to the castle. You arrive in a horse-drawn carriage, and they give you a tour of the castle. You get a candlelit dinner. Wow. And one of the people that are behind this contest is actually one of Bram Stoker's relatives, and he's actually going to be there. Wow. And they're trying to make it really authentic, like the story, like I think he said in an interview that he was going to say whatever that they said in the book.
Oh my
when you
God.
arrive at the castle, he's actually going to say that. And whatever the dinner is they feed you at the candlelight dinner is the same dinner from the book.
That's a good dinner too.
Yeah. And so you get to, and it's for you and one other person.
Oh my God.
And you get to stay all night.
That is amazing.
Isn't that crazy? That
It's
is
just-
a cool contest.
I like all the.
That's on this Halloween.
Yeah.
That's the night you stay. It's Halloween.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So anybody that's interested in that, they'll fly you to Romania.
That is amazing.
Go enter.
I mean, they want you to be funny. I mean, they want
No,
you to be
I don't know. I didn't enter the contest. I
like,
just
this place sucks.
I wanted
you
to
know?
say it because it's coming up pretty soon. So if people want to enter, I wanted to get it on the website and
Well,
stuff.
be sure that use your best biting comments and be like, "Sup, blood." I don't know.
I'm sure that'll win you the contest.
It might.
It might.
You never know. Oh, jinx.
Yeah. I'll be interested to see who does win the contest. If it's like 2 young women or something like that.
Yeah.
Something a vampire would like.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's all my news.
Well, that was very good. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
It's now time for the main event. Honored guest, friends, and marks. We here at the Paranormal Sideshow would ask that those faint of heart or weak of the knees to please switch off this broadcast, as it's time for the supernatural spectacle, a mystery wrapped inside of an enigma and stuffed neatly inside of a Tijuana taco roll. It's now time for our main attraction. All right, it's time for the main attraction. And this week, we're doing something, like I said, a little bit October still. Mm-hmm. So, we just passed your birthday. We're heading down the home stretch to All Hallows Eve.
Right.
And we did a lot of talk last time about Halloween.
Yes.
So I want to talk about something that, sometimes you look at things. I know there's accounts of zombies. Mm-hmm. In voodoo and what have you. And there's also accounts of vampires in their own way.
Right.
Not sure if that's just some crazy ex-girlfriend or what, but there's a lot of vamp clubs out there and people who think they're vampires at least.
Right.
And we know ghosts are real. So
We do.
Going through the whole gambit of the paranormal and the unexplained, there's one creature, if you will, that other than me liking those movies better than any of the others,
Right.
There's always been one that's had a special place in my heart. Mm-hmm. And one that I've always sort of identified with. And we alluded to this earlier on the show, because what happens during a full moon week to me?
Oh, you get crazy, like aggressive and I don't know, on edge, and
It's not a good thing.
it's very different than your normal.
Yeah. And even if I don't know it's a full moon, I still have these strange feelings, and I get very moon bit, if you
I agree.
will.
I agree with that statement.
And we as we mentioned earlier in the show, we're bringing back Travis Moulden. Travis, are you there?
I'm here. Good to be back.
Yeah, man, it's good to have you back. The other person, one of the other people that I know that's affected strongly by the moon is Travis, and by the full moon, new moon,
Right.
either one. But speaking of that, we're going to talk a little bit about werewolves.
Ooh, werewolves.
Their wolf. Their castle.
Werewolf?
But it's really, like I said, it's my favorite monster, so to speak. I mean, it's
I think I hear one.
yeah, you never know.
You never know.
Yeah. And so we're going to go into a few of the stories of werewolves in history, and we're also going to talk a little bit about what are they,
Right.
like possibly
Theories and things.
theories and speculations and real stories from history.
Mm-hmm.
And really the cool thing about it is there's a lot of stories out there.
Oh yeah.
There's
Yeah.
a lot, and even if you go to shapeshifters, that's still a current paranormal phenomenon, and it goes to the whole. I mean, the shapeshifter phenomena, the wolf attacks in history, and
Yeah, it goes back centuries.
and the one that I'm closest to is I kind of go on the hinge of demonic attack
Right.
and demonic possession.
Right.
I think that just from what I've seen, that you can really change who you are, even the way you appear to others,
Right.
If you are possessed.
Well, a lot of the things that you talk about with werewolves and with demonic possession are very similar. Like the strength.
Yes.
People get really strong.
Yeah.
And you know that people that are possessed can contort their bodies. I mean, I don't guess they're doing it to themselves, but and
Right.
and it changes their appearance. It changes their personality. It can come and go. So, I mean, it's a very plausible explanation.
Yeah. What do you think about it, Travis?
I think it's a possible explanation.
Yeah.
Like you said, there's a lot that's in common. I think from a lot of the things that I've read, it alludes to herbs and potions a lot. I wonder if some of the older accounts, at least, didn't be some type of psychedelic reaction.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe.
That's true.
Absolutely. The one of my favorite stories, and this is going back history because it's one of my favorite movies, top 5. And of course in the movie they make it out to be a lion.
Right. Oh, I know what you're talking about.
But
Yeah.
Brotherhood of the Wolf.
Yes, that's a good movie.
And it's
Oh, yeah.
loosely based on
Very loosely.
Yeah, very loosely. 38 Special, like hold on loosely. You like a little 38 Special throw out there?
Yeah.
Yeah, the Beast of and you'll have to forgive me, France, but and this is from the French student too, by the way. The Beast of Gévaudan, and it's the story really, and I'll paraphrase some of this. I know the story well.
Right.
I don't believe they killed the actual beast, no matter what they say.
No, I don't think so.
And that's one thing that the movie does sort of expand on, is the fact that they get the one thing and dress it up and
Right.
present it
and
to
present
the king,
it like it's the
right?
beast.
And basically, it's in 1764. It was early summer. That was the first recorded attack of the beast of Gévaudan, and a young woman was tending cattle in the forest in the eastern part of Gévaudan, and she saw a beast come at her. However, the bulls in the herd charged the beast, keeping it at bay. They drove it off. It attacked a second time. Shortly afterwards, the first official victim of the beast was recorded. 14-year-old killed near the village, near the town of Langong. Over the later months of 1764, more attacks were reported through the region. Very soon, as terror does happen,
Right.
it gripped the nation,
Well, of course, all those people were dying and with no explanation.
Right.
Yeah.
It gripped the area, and the populace was very scared. Reports just got worse and bigger, and as you can imagine, how that just like it would today.
Right.
Imagine the clowns right now.
Right.
So that took what 2 weeks to really just get out of hand.
Out of hand is the correct terminology there.
So the king at the time was Louis XV, and he had to do something. So he sent 2 professional wolf hunters, because they had professional wolf hunters.
So did they originally think that it was just a wolf, or did they think werewolf, supernatural wolf? Are they thinking?
No, they thought wolf.
Okay.
They thought big bitch of a wolf.
I see.
You know what I mean? But and did they though? I mean, it's French villages in
Yeah.
the 1700s.
Yeah. I'm thinking that they probably thought it was something supernatural.
I'm sure they thought it was something.
Because, they probably saw wolves all the time.
Yeah, they did. They
Yeah.
did. I mean, the wolves are prevalent in that region.
Yeah.
They basically they sent the wolf hunters after it. They didn't have much success. They got some big, abnormally sized wolves.
Right.
Until finally they had to send in another master hunter. I mean, one of the first hunters they sent in was even the king's son. And I'm surprised they just didn't, throw some elk antlers on a dog. And,
Like, we found
Got
it.
yeah. But
No worries.
how, I mean, it's the ultimate witch hunt.
Right.
Except you're looking for these poor wolves. So God knows how many of these poor, majestic wolves were just slaughtered for, no good reason.
Right.
But, the story goes that eventually they got their culprit. But the attacks continued.
Right.
And
didn't that guy, that hunter, though, didn't he get praised or like rewarded?
oh yeah,
or,
yeah, big time.
Yeah.
Big time. But years later, they think that they finally got it in 1767, also in early summer,
Right.
and because this wolf stomach had human remains.
Oh.
But if it was being attacked, and the actual beast of Gévaudan always attacked the neck,
Right.
Tore the neck out or whatever. If you had a dead body laying there and you're any self-respecting wolf, you're not.
Yeah, and you need a meal.
Yeah, you're not going to let that go to waste.
Right. I don't think that the beast did that. I wonder if they ever said if the beast actually ate the people or if it just bit them.
No, it killed. It just ripped their necks out.
Well, it's definitely a crazy story.
Yeah,
I mean,
it is, and it's just one of my favorites. It's always piqued my interest, and I love. There's so many of those stories, though. It just so happens that when that movie came out 16 years ago, I went looking for the real. I even wrote a song about it, and anytime that I'm moved that much,
right?
I mean, from a movie, it doesn't happen very much. It's like I wrote a song about The Shining. It's that level,
right? I like that movie, even if it is subtitled. I like it.
Yeah, I like watching it in French.
Yeah.
What about you, Travis? Do you have a good story for us?
Not a specific story. Doing the research, I did find a werewolf version around Louisiana,
right?
Oh.
Down around New Orleans and those swamps down there. They call it a ruggaroo.
Oh yeah, the ruggaroo.
Oh yes. Okay.
So the ruggaroo, does the ruggaroo look like a wolf then?
It could. They describe it as a monster, but it often had the head of a wolf and the body of a human. So,
werewolf.
People unaccustomed to the local legend, would automatically assume werewolf. So it kind of falls into the same category.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's a bipedal creature.
Yes. And one of the alleged causes of turning into one was not following the rules of Lent or not going to confession for 10 years.
Wow.
So it also falls into one of those...
I'm screwed.
Yeah,
We're
one
all
of those, scared into obedience type things.
Yeah, absolutely.
But mostly
that,
only be transferred or turned into one by a witch.
Right.
And it only lasted 101 days.
Right.
And until you drew the blood of someone else. But
well, I know I read that when I was looking up some history, that back in like as early as the 1500s, there were like werewolf crazes, like people were accusing people of being werewolves, kind of like the witch hunts sort of thing. And
right.
I know like in Germany and in France, I saw a lot of accounts where they would arrest people for being a werewolf. And then these people would confess under huge amounts of torture.
Right.
So, so of course they're going to confess that
right.
they're a werewolf if you're, peeling their skin off their body or whatever you're doing to torture them. But there's like accounts there was one that I thought was just horrific. There's this one account from France in 1573 where there's this man named, I think it's Giles or Gilles, I don't know how they pronounce it, Garnier. And he was a hermit. Him and his wife just kind of lived to themselves. And a lot of children were going missing. And eventually he was arrested and he admitted that he was hunting the children and eating them, sharing them with his wife. And under torture, he confessed to being a werewolf. But they actually think that he was possibly mentally unstable.
You think?
And that the reason he did it is because the children were easier to catch than the local wildlife.
Oh my God.
And he didn't have anything to eat.
Wow.
And so that's why, all I could think of was just like Hansel and Gretel, like with
Hansel?
the children and Kevin.
Hansel?
But, and then there was another one in Estonia in like 1651. There was this 18-year-old boy named Hans the werewolf. And he did admit that he was he claimed that he was a werewolf. But he said that they were going to put him to death because he made a deal with the devil. They always thought you were making a deal with the devil.
Right.
And he claimed that he didn't make a pact with the devil, that he was actually bitten by a man dressed in black who turned out to be a werewolf. And that's how he became a werewolf. So then they finally deemed that he was turned into a werewolf by witchcraft and therefore he was put to death.
So this was in the 1600s?
Yeah.
And we had stories in the 1600s that you got bit by a werewolf.
Yeah, I did see his where he actually claimed he was bit by a man in black that
Wow.
would turn into a wolf, and that's why he was a werewolf. And I mean, all these stories are all horrible. I mean, these people were put to death horrifically, like not just burned. Some of them were just burned, but some of them were like flayed and their bones were broken and they were burnt and they were, I mean, just terrible things because people were terrified. It was like the witch craze thing.
Right.
So
Jesus.
it's awful. But see, those aren't really sightings. Those are just like people being accused.
Right. But I mean, that's that's what this whole thing is. It's a discussion of werewolves.
Right.
You know, what are they? You know, how long? You know, the legends obviously date back, you know, hundreds of maybe thousands of years.
Oh yeah, they date back much further than that. I just picked out a few that I thought were interesting.
One of my favorite. Go ahead. You go ahead.
I was just going to say that it doesn't just go back that far, but it's not just France and the United States. It's Canada. I mean, it's like all the rest of the so-called legends and folklore that you and I both, you know, more and more think that if they believed it that long ago for that long, then there must be something to it. But it's transcontinental. It's not. It's timeless and transcontinental, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's not just one location.
And it seems to be a theme with our show that these things, Sasquatch or you know, Holdafolk or whoever we're talking about, is all like that. It's all worldwide. And like I've talked before, we didn't communicate.
Yeah, back a long time ago.
So, I mean, this all comes out of local folklores. It's very strange that we would come up with the same stories.
Yeah, it's not as local as we thought, really. It's just different names.
Right.
Absolutely.
Well, I know of another some sightings that were in America that were actually pretty interesting. They were all centered in Wisconsin. And
yeah, I had, sorry, not to interrupt, but I read that there's been like over 200 since 1939.
Yeah, like a ton. And the ones that I kind of saw about is they call it the Beast of Bray Road. Did you read anything about that?
I did. I had that pulled up just a minute ago.
Yeah, this one was crazy just because there were so many sightings in the exact same area and right around this Bray Road. And they start back, like he said, since 1939. Yeah, something like that. And it started and people were like seeing an actual like wolf-like creature, man-wolf kind of creature. And it happened then. And then it happened again in the 60s where they see it in the road. They see it run off the road and they see it. They can find footprints and they find places where the corn's broken, where it's run through the corn, things like that. And then in the 70s, 80s, I mean, all the way up, there's just been sightings around this Bray Road area, and they call it the Beast of Bray Road. And I think there's been books and stuff written about it.
Well, what do they think it is?
I'm not sure. I've never read the book. I mean, they think it's a werewolf, as far as I know.
Well, I get it.
Some people are saying that it might be some type of wahila, a giant prehistoric wolf, or just a coy dog. I mean, you know, they try to explain it like that, but then they've also attributed it to possible mass hysteria, just from a couple of people seeing one thing and then talking about it.
Yeah, but a lot of the accounts, it's like the thing's standing up on its hind legs. Yeah. And one woman, I think, said it ran after her car, and she totally freaked out, and you know, different things like that. And I know that, like I said, there was a book written about it, and there's one lady. What is her name? Linda Godfrey. She wrote a book about it, and she actually still does like conventions and things and talks about the sightings, and she investigates them and things like that. So, I mean, if you're really interested in, I mean, that is a long history. And I think that I saw somewhere that particular area where Wisconsin is now used to be where Indian tribes, Native American tribes were, and some of their beliefs were that their ancestors could turn into wolves. Because I think that was a Native American belief.
Wow. So it's maybe just, you know, something in that area, and that's cool. Mm-hmm. That's very cool. Mm-hmm. And
something that, you know, you could read a lot about and learn a lot more about, I'm sure.
It reminds me of, you know, earlier in the year, we had those stories coming from England.
Yeah, the ones from Hull, where they had a lot of sightings. Recent ones, because, we did the news stories, and there was like, people saw it was near the Barnstorm Drain, and they call it the Beast of Barnstorm Drain. But there's actually an old legend in that area of a werewolf they called Old Stinker. And so whenever this happened, they were saying that, you know, old Stinker's back and that kind of thing. But there's actually quite a few eyewitnesses that saw it running, jumping a high, like, fence. some of it thought it was eating a dog once, and that's all been the last year. So it's all been really recent.
And really what I think it is, and that's really what this is all about, is what do we think it is? And I know we're having a fun episode. We're having the werewolf episode. We're, another Halloween episode, and we're coming up with all these stories from the past. But what we've established is that for thousands of years, go Native American, go wherever you want, for thousands of years, there's been all countries all over the world, just like all the other stuff we talk about. There has been stories of werewolves. Right. There has been stories that pertain to a dog man, to a wolf man, and they're all over the world to this very day.
Eyewitness sightings,
right? Eyewitness sightings.
Yes.
So really, what is it? What is it? Well, what I think it is, as I alluded to earlier, is demonic possession.
Now, do you think that is most cases, or all of them, or?
I'm sort of an all or nothing kind of guy.
You are kind of an all or nothing kind of guy. I noticed that right off with you.
Really?
Yeah.
Right off.
Yeah. When we first started dating.
Oh, this is very interesting.
Here's how I could tell. This is going to sound really silly, but I noticed when we'd be driving in the car and it was kind of cold, and I'd ask for heat. The heat would go all the way up, and then when it got too hot, the heat would go all the way down. It was never in the middle. It was all heat or all air. And that kind of describes your personality. Really?
Well, I hear
it really does.
Thank you, Travis.
Wow.
All heat or all air. That's how it is.
Well, if I'm going to put out another book that says reasons not to have your friends on the show with you.
Anyway,
so going back to it being, you're asking me a question, and I will say yes, I believe they are all demonic possession. I am not saying that doesn't make them turn into a wolf.
Right.
But I think it's either. I will give you an either on this. It's either misidentified bear walking on two legs,
right?
Misidentified large wolf,
right?
That someone's mind playing tricks on them, as Travis talked about a while ago, when he said that mass hysteria.
Right.
I believe in mass hysteria.
Right.
I believe all those scientific explanations, minus swamp gas, for just about everything, but there is something going on.
I agree with that. I agree with that.
How do we explain that? And the one thing that I've seen that is real is demonic possession.
Right.
And one story that really always goes back years and years ago, as a young budding paranormal enthusiast. Was it the budding part that got you?
Just the whole thing.
I read The Demonologist.
Right.
Like most other people. And, it got me into Ed and Lorraine Warren huge. And I'd already seen them on TV shows, and they always brought them in. It was like, it was always Ed and Lorraine Warren. And there's this one case of theirs. I don't even think this is in The Demonologist. I think this is just somewhere else that I read about this one. And I know it was on a show in the, there was a paranormal show in the early 90s. God, I cannot think of the name of it right now.
I don't know.
But anyway, there's a story that came out of England when they were in England. And it was about a guy named Bill Ramsey.
Oh, right. Yeah.
And
okay.
Bill Ramsey, his entire life, had either thought he was a werewolf, or he smelled bad, and he had fits of anger. I mean, it sounds like any one of my uncles on my dad's side. But he would get this amazing strength,
right?
And at times, and it even goes in. There's a story of him where he got locked up,
right?
And the little it was a steel door, and the hole in a door, like to put somebody's food in or whatever.
Oh yeah, like the little tiny access door,
right? Well, to talk to him,
right.
He actually got his head and his arm out of that hole.
And he's not a midget or anything. He's like a full-grown man.
Full-grown man.
Wow.
And he was going nuts, and he got his head and his arm through that door at the same time. And he should not physically be able to do that.
Right.
I believe they knocked him out. or something. I know they had to get doctors or whatever. They had to get firemen to get him out of the.
Oh yeah.
But
well, yeah, because you can't just yank somebody's head out of a little tiny opening.
It piqued the interest of Ed and Lorraine, and I know that they eventually took him back to the States, and
right.
They diagnosed him as possessed. I mean, it even changed the looks of his face.
Right.
I mean,
right.
it contorted him. It changed everything about him.
Right.
Okay. And especially his anger. And they did an exorcism on him.
Yeah.
And when they did the exorcism, he never had another episode.
Wow.
So you're looking at either he had a mental problem.
Right.
And believed he was a werewolf, and he believed in exorcism. And when they did the exorcism, it cured it.
He believed he was cured.
But what's the difference?
Yeah,
I mean, really,
true.
what's the difference? If you just believe you're something and somebody does something that just takes it away, I mean, it's the same. It's the same
right,
difference.
Right. Well, it's like we were talking about earlier with the demonic possession. That like those things are all similar. The whole contorted and the strength and the anger and the aggressiveness and that sort of thing. So, I mean, that's a real possibility. I see why you think that.
I mean, people that knew me in 2008 would probably say that there was something inside me,
True.
He's definitely a wolf. But I don't know. What do you think, my wolf brother?
It's a good possibility. I mean, even like you said, if he believed that he was, in some schools, some people think that that's what demonic possession is. The people, one way or another, are convinced themselves that there's something else in control of them, and all it takes is that power of suggestion with some personalities and some people that's what happens.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the power of suggestion is a really strong thing.
And honestly, if it wasn't for the fact of me seeing objects move by themselves and, hearing the dead and all these wonderful things, I would be in that school. I would be in that camp of thinking that about the suggestion, and the mind is a very powerful thing.
It is.
And the thing about our minds and our brains is I believe that if we truly believe it's possible, that it's possible.
Yeah.
And,
absolutely.
I don't care what it is we're talking about. I totally believe in that in my life. And I believe that I hate myself sometimes for not believing in something enough.
Right.
Because I know that if I do, it will happen. And, so what happens when you're mentally ill, Travis, and you believe in something, is it going to happen, Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you take away social constructs and what you've been taught as the way things are, and you're in that deranged mental state or that sick mental state, and that there's not that societal control. There's no personal control. It's left to the natural impulses. And if you're in a cage, in a cell, and you need to get out, you're going to find the path of least resistance, even if that's just a meal slot in the door.
Yeah. Well, I like what you said earlier about, a long time ago, centuries ago, when they had this werewolf problem, whatever, and that you could actually attribute it possibly to what kind of medicines they were using or what kind of herbs they were using that maybe they didn't know, because you can mix some of that stuff and it's dangerous. Like if you don't really know what you're doing.
Yeah. I mean,
that's a lot of what I've read about the Ulfnar.
Right.
I hope I'm pronouncing that right. But the warrior shamans that fought along with the berserkers, the armies that went against them would have swore that they were part wolf and part man. They were so savage and they were immune to pain and just crazy. They would bite their shields and take chunks of wood out of it, just going nuts. And some people at least believe that came from the paint that they used for their war paint. They mixed it with herbs, whether it was some type of magic mushroom or wolf's bane or what. But after so much exposure to those psychedelics and those natural herbs and the combinations, it got in and made them that feral, just animalistic fighters that they were.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, it's crazy though. I mean, it's just, and it's also interesting. And anytime you start talking about things that have to do with, well, is this? It's like when you compare once again you can compare demonic attack with UFO abduction. The similarities are eerie,
right?
And it's along those same lines. The similarities being so strange,
right?
That they're so close.
Well, when you're talking about werewolves, though, you really can't rule out the possibility that it's a medical condition that is causing them to think, that they are a werewolf, or that maybe they were, or to act in a weird way. They actually have a term for it. I guess it's clinical lycanthropy. Lycanthropy. I can't even say it.
Lycanthropy.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I don't know why that one's so difficult. I always say it wrong.
I like lycanthropy.
Anyway, so it's like a psychotic episode.
Yeah.
They think, because they don't really know. I mean, and that's how it is with so many mental things.
Well,
but they feel like it's largely considered to be sort of like after like schizophrenia, bipolar, that kind of thing, and then there are other things also neurologically going on, and that kind of leads them into this whole delusion that the person is turning into a wolf.
Right.
And I don't know a lot about those diseases, but I do know that there are people that are bipolar that do have those mood swings. Like sometimes they're perfectly fine, and then sometimes they're just very aggressive and mean. I mean, I can understand where that comes from. So
sometimes they're godlike. I mean, they got like the god complex.
Yes, that's true. That's true.
Nothing can hurt them, and they're indestructible. They
Right.
could take on 5 men at once.
Right.
And so I mean, it's a thing, and they believe that. So a lot of times, if they take on the 5 men, it's a bad day for those 5 guys.
Right. Well, I happen to be of the thought, like you are, that most of the time this sort of thing is demonic possession.
Yeah.
But that doesn't really account for all the sightings.
No.
There could very well be something out there that we just don't know about
Well,
yet.
we talked about Sasquatch.
Right.
I finally changed my views on Sasquatch just from being in the dense forest so much.
Mm-hmm.
I really think that there's something to it. I really, really do. And I also think there's something to the reason that they pick certain areas to be state parks or national parks. I believe that all the missing people from national parks is not as coincidental as it seems. I think that there was a reason when we first decided all these certain places were going to be national forest.
Right.
That there was a reason we decided that.
Right.
It wasn't just because of a tree. It was
or a specific thing. Right.
Right. It was, I think that it was a specific thing, but I think that we don't fully understand. And we've talked about power regions before. And I think when Travis was on the show last time, we talked about different areas being those power regions or ley lines.
Right.
And,
right.
and so it'd be interesting to me to see, like in Wisconsin, if that's connected to a ley line or that's connected to other paranormal activity. That's what I want to find out about. Is there UFO sightings? Is there, horrifically haunted houses there?
Right.
Is there other things going on? I mean, is it Sunnydale or whatever? Is there a reason?
Right.
And if there's other things going on, maybe it's the earth itself that causes this strange phenomena to happen in certain sacred places.
It could be. I mean, at this point, anything is possible, I suppose.
Guys, every story you've both given me has been the beast of blah, blah, blah.
Right.
Because there's been multiple sightings for a long period of time in the same area.
Right.
So, it just seems to fit that maybe those areas is what needs investigated.
Right. Well, another thing that I think is interesting is when you have this, like, take the sightings in Wisconsin we were talking about, those stretch for a very long period of time. So if this was an actual werewolf, a person turning into a wolf, it's not going to be just the one person unless for some reason it gives them immortality.
And I do want to say this. Since it was Wisconsin, there is also this distinct possibility that it was a drunken Packers fan.
Or somebody that ate some bad cheese or something. I don't know.
Packers. Sorry, I had to give a little Mystery Science Theater nod. Anybody who's seen that episode of Mystery Science Theater 3000, I will, love you forever if you post something about that. Packers. Yeah, I mean, and there's also the possibility that when the moon turns full, that the man turns into a wolf and is cursed to walk this world alone, trying to find others. There is the chance that there is actually a curse of the werewolf. Just throwing that out there.
There's always that chance.
So Travis, as a closing, I'd like to turn it back over to you. All in all, it's a fun topic. It's a fun thing to talk about. I appreciate you coming on the show. Any closing thoughts?
I'm always glad to be on the show, and especially talking about the old stuff that just kind of transcends time and you keep hearing stories about.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, if I had a specialty to put on your name, it would be Old Stuff Master.
He's the OSM.
Yeah.
That would explain a lot.
You hear people, and you hear people, and I'll switch gears a little bit here for a second. A lot of times you'll hear of people who are old souls rather than new souls or young souls. Like it's not their first time around. Travis Moulden is one of the oldest souls that I've ever met. He's been around this racetrack quite a few times. We're also kindred spirits. So it's not just with me. It's with the family. He's part of our family, and it just feels like it belongs that way, and it always has. And but a lot of there's just something about you, man. Just when you talk to you, you've got sort of a knowing disposition, so I always have to put you over for that. But yeah, Travis has been with us for a long time, and he always has been. We've never had the official title of team historian, team know-it-all, whatever, but when you get into, and he's more comfortable obviously in the haunting genre,
right.
But
we kind of just throw everything at him though. We'd be like, "Hey, Travis, we're going to talk about werewolves."
But I have to have those people in my life.
Mm-hmm.
I have to have the people that go, you know what? That's a Class C 49-2 ghost, and at one time in 1948 there was Mr. Johnson had one on his farm, and because if I don't have the people like you and Travis and Tim and Wes and all the people through the years, then I am fist fighting a ghost on the 5th floor, and I don't look at anything else because I don't have to be convinced,
right?
And I don't have to have that. So do I have any skepticism in me? Hardly not. And so that's why I have to be surrounded by people,
right, that are willing to question things,
right? That question the.
That's why we work so well together.
Yeah, even if you throw
makes that balance.
Exactly. You even throw people like Alan Marston in it. Alan Marston questions, everything. It's just all the people that we've been around, through the years. I even have my friend that I talk about, Alan Turner, all the time from Germany. He's a questioner, and
questioner,
and that dude has crazy stuff happen in his own house. So I mean, it's I don't understand you people. Because it's like, oh hey, that door just came off the hinges and fell on the floor. You know what? That door was old. That door was old.
I do that. Yeah, I do that a lot. I always try to find the other explanation, but I mean, I'm supposed to. That's part of the job.
I know, and I used to fault you guys for it, and that. I would get mad on investigations.
Right.
I don't do that anymore.
I like it when things happen that I can't find another explanation for. Like when we were at ETSU and I got hit with that rock in the attic, and it just sort of hit me.
Yeah.
And I was like, "Who threw this rock at me?" And of course, nobody threw a rock at me because that's silly. Why would anybody do that? But,
but Travis, didn't you have something too?
Well, I was sitting right next to Stacey when that happened.
Okay. All right.
At ETSU. I mean, I've had my own, this apartment, the last place I lived, the place I lived before that. I've had all kinds of stuff I couldn't explain.
Yeah, I mean,
Christmas ornaments just sliding off a Christmas tree while I was looking at it. No reason.
Don't you like it when you're actually looking at it and it happens?
Well, I mean,
I just happened to be looking over there, and this bow that was on like a twisty tie just went and knocked the jingle bell off on the way.
Wow. Well, that was and the thing about it is, some people that you guys especially try rationalizing these things right off the bat. To your credit, I automatically look at it as a sign, or I try to find that metaphysical answer,
right,
just because of the things that have happened to me personally.
Well, I mean, that's not bad either, because there's sometimes when I'm trying to rationalize something and I'm being kind of silly about it, and you're like, no. And I mean, it was really something paranormal, and I'm like making up ridiculous things that maybe something just fell over and then this flew there at exact time. They both did this, and right, just silly things.
Butterfly in India.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, we talked about last time, Travis was with me when we had the room full of people and the painted over window of the Black House.
Oh, yeah.
Just opened straight up, but opened violently. I mean, it wasn't just a little bit. Like, you hear people sometimes go, and then the window opened. And if there's a reenactment for it, it would show the window going open and all this stuff. But then if you watch a movie, say like The Conjuring 49, if a window was going open because of a ghost, it would go whoosh, That's what happened that night. That night, it waited for us all to be in a semicircle. Okay? We were all standing there, and for whatever reason, this is the way my mind remembers this. For whatever reason, we were all sort of in that general vicinity, and we were talking about leaving, and the window broke the paint from where it was painted over, and it was a and I mean, it went straight up. Now, to do this, it had to unlock, which I remember trying to unlatch it.
Well, yeah, the whole thing was painted over.
You couldn't unlatch
it.
it. And so it had to be unlatched, and it flew up, and it wasn't spring loaded. It was not spring loaded. So,
no, it wasn't spring loaded.
Yeah, so I mean, you know how he knows it wasn't spring loaded?
Did he test it?
Yeah, of course.
Damn straight.
It reminds me of we watched Poltergeist the other night, the original one.
Yeah.
And I got so tickled because at the part where they're going up to the room, the investigators are going to see the room the first time, and he's like bragging because he has time-lapse video of this Matchbox car traveling across the floor. And it took 7 hours to go, a foot or whatever. But he has it on video, and then they open the door and stuff's all flying around. I get so tickled at that.
I mean, you just never know. But that's the funny thing. It's both sides of that world. So, and I know we've gotten off a little bit here but it's fine. It's just all part of things that have happened to us over the years. But to speak of that, Travis, thank you so much for coming on the show and talking with us about werewolves.
Thanks for having me, man.
Can't wait to have you back on the show again, man. Thanks a lot. Have a good one. So I know it's always fun to have him on the show.
Oh yeah.
And anybody who has survived investigating with me and you, and then it sounds funny, but not everyone can hang.
That's very true.
There is a very few select people.
There is a reason why we investigate alone.
Yeah.
And just with a few different people.
Because, and if you question it, you can always invite us. We'll be glad to come to your investigation.
We love to travel.
Yeah, we love to travel, but I'm driving 19 hours pretty soon to be doing an investigation anyway. So, we travel, and that's the name of the game, though, to learn and to research and to meet people and have fun and all that stuff. But when you have us on your investigation, I guarantee you something's going to happen. And, so
it may not be paranormal. I'm just kidding.
Here, high five. All right. I like that one. Yeah. I'm actually close enough to her tonight to actually be able to give a high five.
To high five without knocking stuff over.
Yeah. So, anyway, guys, that was our werewolfy edition, and the Curse of the Werewolf,
and go on our Facebook page and let us know what you think.
Yeah.
About werewolves and your theory of if they're real or what causes it.
Absolutely, of anything. Dogman, Ruggaroo,
Even if you just have an interesting werewolf story.
Yeah, or what you think they actually are. I'm interested, very interested. And, actually you go on there and leave what you think. And if it's something, that we find interesting enough, I'll bring you on the show. If I don't bring you on the show after you leave something, it doesn't mean I don't think you're interesting. Just thought I would throw that out there because you see, can you tell I live in a house with all women? Because I have to say that stuff.
What are you trying to say?
Well, yeah, exactly. My point exactly. If I was in here and I would have said that to her, like, "Hey, Stacey, if I find it interesting enough, I'll bring you on the show." What do you mean? Am I not interesting? Am I not interesting anymore?
Well, to be fair, you don't always say things like you should. You are a man, and sometimes the things that come out of your mouth don't go through your brain first.
I am a man. And I also know about paranormalsideshow.com. That's your address to go find everything about men. No, that's not good.
No.
Everything about Wolfman.
Maybe not everything. Everything about us.
Everything about us.
There you go.
And our Wolfman. Facebook.com/Paranormal Sideshow. On the Twitter, it's at Sideshow97. Instagram, hot damn, John and Stacey Edwards. And on YouTube, just search it, kids, Paranormal Sideshow. Also go search The Third Side just for the fun of it, because it's got all kinds of cool videos on there. And I got to tell you, on iTunes, if you're on iTunes, please, see, I said please.
You did say please.
Leave us a review and a star.
Rate
rating.
us.
5.
Is that your subliminal?
And, no,
it's your subliminal advertising.
Can we add some subliminal stuff? Hey, tell you what, all the spirits in this place, the EVPs I need you to do is 5. If there's a spirit standing in here right now, please say 5. You know, wouldn't you have freaked out right there?
Yeah, I would have.
You were waiting for it, weren't you?
I would. With you, there's just no telling.
And with that said, for my lovely wife Stacey, my name's John Edwards. So long from the Sideshow.
Good night.